with any luck, will overturn this election.
Right. I'm just glad I got back in time to be able to record this. It's tough getting back after a 6 p.m. curfew from DC.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Antifa's at it again.
Right. Always breaking windows and fucking destroying property. Goddamn Antifa. That's not even how you say it, is it? Isn't it Antifa?
Well, they've been saying Antifa so much for the last 4 years that I've started saying that. But I, in my youth, knew it as Antifa.
Yeah, the tilde is over the A at the end. Yeah. It's a Spanish word.
But now they say Antifa, so I've always been a joiner.
We spoke of distrust. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Human Interaction Podcast. I am your host, Andrew Hambone Hambleton, and it's been a wild day today, so I have Chief Political Correspondent Audrie Marsh with me today. Audrie is a local comedian. She works in Central PA and Philly, and Baltimore, the surrounding areas, when there is comedy to be working at. She hosts the open mic at Phantom Power now on Monday nights. She's one of the last people I thought would be my friend, to be honest, when I first started comedy. So happy to have you here. Happy you could stop by and hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to, take a break from watching the news today and get to talk to you.
Yeah, well, that's the only way people are happy that they get to talk to me.
If we get to take a break from something else horrible.
Yeah. There's a civil war brewing. I better go talk to Hambone just to cleanse my palate a little bit.
Make sure I still have my grip on reality.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what we're gonna get out of this, but it has been a wild fucking day. Like it started out great actually. I got up early today and I got physical exercise.
Okay.
I played around at disc golf, which is not, but I walked 2.5 miles. It was it's nice. I got to hang out with one of my friends, and then I came home. I was all excited to watch drama unfold in the political sphere, and holy shit, did it.
Yeah, it delivered for sure.
Absolutely. Not what I was hoping for exactly, but yeah.
At 10 after 6 this morning, I knew it was going to be a bad day. 10 after 6 this morning, I woke up to the dog barfing, which is 20 minutes before I have to get up. So that's fine. Like, it wasn't like, didn't really disrupt much, but they really should make, like, on your phone, they should have an alarm sound that's the dog barfing, because it really got me up really fast.
Or the cat. The cat has a very distinct sound too.
Yeah, cat. Yeah. I don't have a cat. I know that's probably surprising, but I don't have a cat.
No, you strike me as a dog person very much.
Yeah.
I have actually only ever I've lived with both dogs and cats, but the only ones that have ever been pukers were the cats. Like habitual, like their medical problem vomiting.
I think cats do that, right? They just barf. Like dogs barf on occasion, and it usually does happen in the middle of the night. And I'm a dogs in the bed person. That's not by my choice. That is the dog's choice, and I'm not good at discipline. So both of my dogs sleep in the bed, and one just, first thing this morning was barfing.
That is a telltale sign for sure.
I was able to get her off the bed and hold her over the side of the bed, so the barf only got on me, so not the entire bed.
That's good.
Small victories.
You have pretty big dogs too, don't you?
Yeah, I have one's a pit bull. She's like an elderly disabled pit bull, and then I have a black lab.
Okay. The lab was thrown up, I assume.
No, it was the elderly
okay.
disabled pit bull. Yeah.
Yep. It's just like my elderly disabled cat.
Yeah. Your toothless cat.
My toothless cat. Yeah. Oh, Lido. She's been really. She got a. My brother and sister-in-law's dog got my nephew. Got his cousin a catnip toy, and she's an old cat who's just getting high on her last days. Like she's just going nuts. Yeah. She will just lay there and lick the thing for 2 hours and then sit there and just stare at it and meow at me and stare back at it. It's like, you did it to yourself, man.
Do you have any human nieces and nephews?
No, not yet. I don't know. My brother just got married. They like self-union or whatever it is you can do in Pennsylvania. Yeah, so they did that because the wedding was supposed to be December 19th, and obviously that didn't happen. So they self-union, and hopefully we're gonna have a reception, like an actual ceremony and stuff.
When things are a little better.
Yeah, that's the plan anyway. But I don't know if they plan on having kids or not. I think the dog is a test. I think that's how it works, right?
Yeah. I have 7. I have 7 nieces and nephews, and I have 2 little twin god babies. I'm always surrounded by children.
Yeah, I'm sure that's nice. Like I'm sure.
I mean, it is fun. Like it's fun. Everybody says that like kind of cheesy thing where it's like, oh, it's fun if you can give them back, but it really is like nice to be like when you come over and everyone's like, yes.
Yeah, you're the
that's
cool.
Like a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. I've been trying to convince one of my best friends just had his first kid, and she's adorable. And there was this big push before he had his kid to like hang out more. So like a group of us were like really, really tight, and we like spent a lot of time together this summer and stuff. So we were trying to convince him that we are his daughter's godfathers, whether he wants us to be or not,
whether he likes it or not.
Yeah, which is funny because his wife is from a very, very like Central PA conservative, born again Christian family, which is so weird that he married her because yeah. But
it's slim pickings out here. You want to meet a woman, 9 out of 10 of them come from a very conservative religious background, and
they all have at least 2 kids when they're my age, or our age. I shouldn't. You're not that much older than me.
How old are you now? 35?
33.
33. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
It is slim pickings. Absolutely. Absolutely right. I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Denver. She was back here visiting family, and she's a lot younger. So she's like really up on all the dating apps and everything. And she will go on like wherever she is, she'll like set her preference to men and women just because she's like, I like to see the competition too, or like meet a friend, whatever. And
I disagree with this behavior, but go on.
I mean, she's a very free-spirited young woman too. She might be looking to hook up with some girls. I don't know, but regardless,
sexual orientation, gender, it's over. Like,
especially
everybody's everything.
She's like 23, 24 or something like that. Or no, she's a little older than that, but she's definitely like a millennial, a Gen Zer.
20. Yeah, that's if she's 23. That's
no,
Gen Z.
I think she's like 25 or 26. I forget. We discussed this summer when we were having this conversation. I totally forgot. I'm sorry, Abby. She doesn't listen to this. She commented on that because I was bitching like, dude, it's so hard. Like in your 30s around here, even when you get to like a bigger, her family lives in Lebanon. Like I grew up in Lebanon, but even if you live in a bigger city like Lancaster, it's still slim pickings when you get to be my age because it's still like every woman has at least one child, And not that that's a deal breaker, but they like make it into a deal breaker.
I think I've heard you boys discussing that, where it's just like, I'm a mom first.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
yeah. And
yeah.
again, absolutely, I understand that. Like I said, I wanna know who.
I wouldn't want to look at a dating profile with a woman that has a kid that is like, my kid's not that important to me. The most
Exactly.
important thing is casual sex and I don't know,
Yeah,
alcohol.
yeah, and
Nah, that's a turnoff. I would say mom first isn't a deal breaker. Mom last on my priorities,
yeah,
deal breaker.
deal breaker, exactly. Um, and I don't know why that's the thing that has to be like the first thing. It's like, mom, you could just say, I'm a mother, not like first
Well,
and foremost I am it's like, you're already giving me attitude and I didn't even give you shit about it. Like
maybe there is a better way to phrase that, but maybe you're supposed to not su- make make the kid like a surprise.
yeah,
Maybe I don't know.
I get that they're like trying to. I want to know, like, are there guys out there who are like, because most of the time they have pictures of them and their kids like in their profile, which is usually a dead giveaway that
Yeah.
you're a mother, and they like, I want to know who's like swiping on that, and then they're like, oh, like, I'm a mother. Oh, sorry, like I don't know, I didn't realize from the pictures. I don't know. And who, like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just, I like what I said on Monday night, like straight guys ruin it for straight guys. Like assholes ruin it for good people in general, I think.
Right.
Just yeah.
Yeah. It's all word of mouth. Your reputation precedes you.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. I have a very limited understanding of dating apps. Emily and I met, I want to say it was almost 8 years ago. And I was not a particularly tech savvy person at that time. And
Right.
I'm still not, but I didn't like, I was a flip phone person. And like kind of very like, I had convictions about being a flip phone person.
Cell phone
And
hipster.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
it was, like, it wasn't because of finances or anything. It was just like to look like a person with austerity who, yeah, it was, I was that guy. But I did have an OK Cupid that I looked at only on occasion, and I did go on 2 internet dates, but that's the entirety of my experience with internet dating. So when you hear like, just in conversation or in comedy, everybody talks about Tinder. I have a very
Yeah.
limited understanding. Like I know what it is, and I can put together context clues like swiping right, swiping left. And then I went to see a comedy show. It was literally the best comedy show I've ever seen, called Tinder Live. And that demystified Tinder for me entirely.
Oh, was that at in Philly?
No, it was in Baltimore. She does the show, I think it's every other Friday in Brooklyn, or she did pre-COVID.
Mhm. I know, I've heard of it.
But I went to see it at Auto Bar.
Stop scratching my face.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I went to see it in Auto Bar. Yeah.
Nice.
In
Yeah,
Baltimore.
I've heard of that for sure, and it's
It's so
definitely,
fucking funny.
yeah,
Especially if you're somebody who is on the dating apps and has experience with the dating apps, I'm sure that this would be even funnier to you. And I haven't, I've been to many, many comedy shows. I don't know that I've ever seen something that would like have me out of my seat laughing.
nice. Free
Yeah.
plug.
Yeah.
When things come back, if that show's still going.
Yeah.
Because Tinder, like the dating apps, it has become kind of like a hack premise now because like everybody talks about it, but
Well,
it's also such a big part of society and life now that it's
right.
kind of, that's how we date because we can't
It's
go
the
anywhere.
airplane food of our
Yeah.
generation. It's the
Yeah.
one thing everybody has in common to complain about.
Yeah. My wife, my job, my kids, Tinder. That's
Yep. I have to quick look up who, because I really feel bad, but my brain is not functional. Who the comedian is that does Tinder Live, so I can properly Oh, Lane Moore. Her name is Lane Moore.
Oh, that's why I follow her on Twitter and I bought her album, like her
Yeah,
musical album.
she's a
Yeah,
funny comic, and
that's why I recognize it because she was promoting it like crazy on Twitter and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a very interesting human being for sure. I mean, from I was like obsessed with her music for a good month. Like when
What's
I
her
first,
music like? I didn't know that she made
it's
music.
very very indie. I think I have it on my Bandcamp actually.
Okay.
Um,
Very, very indie.
yeah, like that's the only way I can describe it. It's
Okay.
very like indie rock. Yeah,
Huh.
but it's good.
I'll listen to it.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's like indie, like emo indie kind of sad girl stuff, but that's right up my
I'm
alley.
into that.
Yeah,
Sad girl stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll do it.
yeah.
I'm actually mostly into sad boy stuff. I realized sad boy stuff from the 90s.
Okay.
I don't have Spotify, but did you see that thing where like it was like have a bot
Yeah, I did
insult
it.
you
Mine
about
was,
your music
yeah,
taste? Did you do it?
yeah. It was kind of silly. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, it says the same thing for everybody. It just picks out different bands. Like that's all it does.
Oh, it's the exact same phrases for everybody.
Oh, actually, no, you're right. It's not. It's not.
Yeah, I think I did see like
Yeah, there were different ones.
friends were posting them on their
yeah.
Instagram or whatever, and I saw some crossover, but yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah. I like that's the part of the internet I like. Like give me more of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like
I like watching
that
people
porn. Give me that. Yeah.
I like watching people walk into screen doors. That's my
Yeah.
favorite
And
thing to
cute
see on the
cats.
internet.
Obviously,
Yeah,
like
cats.
cute animals just
Yeah.
wins the internet. But
If you
bots doing
compare a cute animal with a person that's, otherwise able-bodied adult person falling down and a cute animal in the same thing.
oh man,
Yeah.
it's broken. The internet is broken. Get out of the way, Kim Kardashian. I almost fucked up that name. I don't know what happened.
There's a great video on the internet of a guy jumping on a trampoline, and then he tips over the trampoline and falls on the ground, and out of nowhere, I think it's a golden retriever, just runs into the frame and humps the guy.
Oh, animals humping people.
Perfect video.
Yes.
Perfect internet video.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. It's not, it's not for inciting a hillbilly insurrection. It's for watching cute animals humping people that fell down.
Yes, absolutely. And porn. Don't forget about porn. Yeah.
I'm not a big porn consumer.
I'm trying to cut back. It's yeah. It's a weird point to get to in life where it's just like there are websites that have billions of videos, and I can't like find one that I'm like, yeah, this works. Like I don't know. It's so
yeah.
that's
I think that's the problematic point. That's when people start looking at really weird things. You can go down very dark paths that way.
Yes. Yeah. Fortunately, I'm way too afraid of being traced by the government. So that's what's
keeping you from doing it, dirtball.
Yes. Yep. That's what keeps me in check. No.
Yeah.
No, and there's weird stuff. Like I used to not be like whatever, it's porn, it's all like, but it's like you see some of the shit that's like prevalent now. It's like, okay. Yeah, incest, like young girl, like it's just weird. It's just weird.
I was talking to a friend about how
it's weird how hot it is.
Such mixed signals now because the internet gives you such ready access to porn that I'm sure that children are accessing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, I remember when I figured out how to go to a website that didn't require a credit card and print out pictures on my black and white LaserJet printer, late 90s.
Yeah.
And like cut them out, and I had a whole hiding spot in my room. Yeah.
I actually, my first high school girlfriend used to print out like hentai pictures of hentai. Like
that's where it all starts.
And put them on her wall. I don't know. I had my first girlfriend was like really edgy. She was cool and edgy, and I was.
Well, yeah, you were like into like punk scene and stuff, right? I mean,
I was, but I was like a shy kind of on the side punk, you know.
Yeah, you were a
Um,
poser
uh,
is what we call them.
was I? No, I wasn't. I was not a poser, but also during that time in the late '90s, maybe I was a poser. I don't care.
No,
But in the
I
late
probably was
'90s,
too.
my edgy hentai girlfriend was really into like the rave scene. It was, in the like candy necklaces and the parachute pants and stuff like that. And I
Mhm.
remember one time she wanted me to go to this all ages thing, or it was like, I think it was like maybe 16 and up at a club in Philly. And uh, I didn't I didn't want to wear a coat into a club, but I did have to take a bus and the subway to get to her house. So I wore like long johns and then this like big wool sweater and corduroy overalls. So I didn't have to wear my winter club or my winter coat into the rave. And when I showed up at her house, she was like, I don't even know why you're my girlfriend. What are you wearing?
Yeah, but that would
That's been my I'm always the punk in the corner in the corduroy overalls.
all right.
Or at the rave in the corduroy
Yeah,
overalls. I just don't really fit in to those scenes, but
that's very poetic. That was beautiful. You tied that metaphor back beautifully. That was great.
Thanks.
Man, so did you have a good Christmas holiday? I know we kind of covered this a little bit at the open mic on Monday, which was, by the way, really nice to get back and
It was
see
fun, wasn't
everybody
it?
and hang out. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
Um,
I think everybody had a nice time. So sometimes open mics can feel kind of like sad, but
yeah,
it felt like people
oftentimes.
were having a good time. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
well, I think it's just people are cooped up. It's like that was really the only form of social interaction. There we go. That we got
mhm.
anyway for most of us. So uh yeah, I think people are just happy to be able to hang out again.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's a little nerve wracking to hang out indoors, but I think everybody's really respectful with their masks and everything. So
Yeah. I didn't
yeah,
see anybody being obnoxious about it. So
no, for sure, no. So yeah, but
uh
for Christmas we got a um, what do you call it? Like do you know what a solo stove is? It's a smokeless fire pit.
oh yeah, my uncle has one and
Yeah.
he posts stuff on it's like a fire pit and a grill and everything like all in one,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it has like an air intake on the bottom. It's all stainless steel. It has air intake on the bottom, so it doesn't create like the kind of like campfire smoke. But
Okay. Well, that's my favorite part
also,
of campfires.
I get stressed out about fire. So Emily has wanted a fire pit for a while, and I've
Hmm.
been like, no, both of our neighbors on either side, they'll have like dual fire pit nights and stuff.
So she
But
wants to keep up with the Joneses.
I guess I don't
Yeah.
know. But I had always kind of said no, and then I got her this thing because it feels safe too. It starts really easily, but it also goes out really fast.
Nice.
So it doesn't make me as worried that I'm going to burn down the whole neighborhood. Um,
Oh, so like you
so
can like cut off the airflow
the
to the
airflow, yeah,
fire and it goes
yeah,
out. It's okay. It's like putting out a candle.
yep.
Maybe not quite
Well,
that
it's
easy.
not quite that fast, but it does. It smolders and then goes out. Um,
Nice.
so but anyway, we got one. I got her that for Christmas, and then invited over like I want to say like 4 people, and we had, the kind of like, like the days of yore where I was like, you may not go inside. You can go inside to use the bathroom if you wear a mask, and you can only go in one at a time unless you're here with your partner, and then both of you can go in at the same time, but you have to wear your mask. Nobody in the house. Like
Hmm.
it was really cold on Christmas too. So
It was pretty chilly.
yeah, but we made we
Wait,
have like
didn't
a
it
stove.
rain?
No, maybe it rained earlier in the day, and it rained
Oh
the
no,
day after.
I'm think Christmas
New Year's Day it
Eve.
rained all day.
Yeah, and Christmas Eve, like late at night. I was in Lebanon, so the weather does change from
Yeah.
here to there. So it might not
No,
have
it
rained
was
here, but
just it was viciously cold and windy, but we all stayed by the fire, and I have a screened-in porch, so I put like desserts on the table and the screened-in porch instead of like making Christmas dinner.
And
so it was nice. It's good to see friends.
You're still you guys have like a tiny house or tiny-ish house, right? Or did you move out of that?
No, we still have the tiny house. Although my New York friends that have come here have said I'm misrepresenting, because if their apartments were this size, they would, feel very rich.
Really?
Well, I know
I have friends who live in New York City too, and yeah,
How big is your house? Like, do you know how many square feet it is?
Yes, I do. It is 420 by 3, actually. So it's not all finished, but it's roughly 900 square feet finished. That are
900
finished.
Square feet finished, yeah. And then like another 400 not.
No, and then like it's like half the basement could be considered finished.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's 420 square feet per floor.
Okay.
So 840 plus 420? Geez, 1260.
Right.
Total. Yeah. Okay.
So
that's what. Yes, I do know how big.
So the reason that our house is considered a tiny house is because it's less than 350 square foot per person. So we have two. It's all one floor. We have a kitchen, a living room, bathroom, 2 bedrooms. So it's kind of like the size of a 2-bedroom apartment, but it's a standalone house. No basement, no attic. We do have like a utility room with like washer, dryer, and that's where our furnace and our water heater is too. So it's a very compact little house, and the bedrooms are not big. Right.
I was gonna say, because that's exactly what is in my house.
Yeah.
Kitchen, living room, 2 bedrooms, and a bathroom. But then I have a full basement too. So
our house, I think it's 680 for the house, and then the screened-in porch adds like another 120, and we have like glass sliding doors on the screens out there. Mm-hmm. So we can, if we put a space heater out there, we can like kind of count that as a room.
Yeah, and actually maybe that's where the extra 900 came from, because I have like a closed-in front porch. It's like essentially a sunroom on the front porch. Yeah. Which before I bought the house, apparently there were quite a few occupants at one time, like 9 people in here, because the guy was renting it out, and this was a pretty low-income neighborhood. It's all the houses are flipping now. It's crazy,
I know, it's kind of on the come up, that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like maybe there would be some like younger people around me, but it's also like I know like what the property values were and like what people are making off of these houses, but they're also doing like a lot. They're really nice, like really fixing them up nicely. But I forget what I was saying. No.
We were talking about my tiny house and how it's not really technical. It's not like the tiny houses on, Discovery Channel, tiny house where people live in a garden shed.
Right. And they have like fold out furniture and everything, like puzzle pieces together. Yeah.
No. This room that I'm sitting in would actually probably benefit from having like a Murphy bed or something, because we call this the crazy room. It's just kind of like the catch.
I lost you there.
Sorry. Yeah, my sister was calling me, and I'm on the iPad, so it's just like I went from having a flip phone to having an iPhone and an iPad.
Yeah.
Let me just text her real quick and let her know.
Okay. I mean, she can. You wanna pull her in conference call?
No, I'm okay. I'm pretty sure she's even more the chief political correspondent. She's probably calling me about that.
Yeah, surprisingly, I haven't heard much from some of my friends who are very very politically active. I'm gonna stop trying to have a conversation while you're trying to do something else.
Yeah, sorry. She keeps calling me over and over again. Hopefully, everyone in my house is alive.
Yeah,
or my sister lives with my parents.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or my sister lives in my parents' old house. So, or I was trying to think, like, my parents kind of live with my sister. She takes care of them.
Right. She's like inheriting the house basically.
Yeah, I
like
hope so. She
rent
better.
to own
Yeah.
situation. I mean, if you need to take a call, we can take it. We can pause here, and if you need to take
No,
a
it's
call.
fine. No,
Okay, cool.
everything's fine. She was calling me over and over again because she thought FaceTime was just being a dick and like.
She's like, she's definitely not just hanging up on me.
Yeah.
Oh,
My sister
man.
and I, we probably talk like, I don't know, like probably a good 10 hours a week we spend on FaceTime now during this whole pandemic thing.
Well, that's
So,
nice. I barely talk to my brother.
yeah.
We're going skiing next Friday though.
Oh,
So
fun.
yeah, it's cool. I was they were running a pretty good deal at one of the mountains, and he like floated the idea to people. I was like, I think I'm not doing anything, and that's a pretty good deal. But I had to wait until one of my like unemployment payments went through. So
Mm-hmm.
just to be safe, like I had the money, but it's just like I want this to, it'll make me feel better to see a bigger number after I make this
Mm-hmm.
pick. Um,
Did you start working? Weren't you going to work at Ski Round Top or something?
I was going to work at Round Top, but the pay was terrible.
It's better to stay on unemployment and try to find other work.
Yes, yeah. Like
Yeah.
I would have done it if I could have found another job, but with working that job and collecting partial unemployment was not even close to what I'm making from unemployment.
Right. Yeah.
Which I paid for since I was like 16 years old. So get off my back.
Yeah. This is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's getting towards the end of that, and I have sent out so many applications. I got to the second interview of a job, and they just decided to go with someone else, and I've had a couple interviews, and just nothing has really worked out. So I thank you, Georgia, because that's hopefully the promises will be delivered, and it'll at least help until everything gets back to normal. Not to
I think that actually might be one of the first things that hits the floor, because I think that they really owe the flipping of Georgia as easily as it was flipped. I mean, it wasn't even like that much of a nail biter.
I mean, I was watching all night, and I was getting a little worried, but
I was watching. I wasn't watching the news. I was just looking at my New York Times app, and they were
right,
very
right.
reassuring, and they kept saying like, even though it looks like the Republicans are up at this point, they've pretty much exhausted all of their votes. Like all the counties that would have voted for them as a majority, like we're expecting like wild returns from the Atlanta area and Cobb County. And so.
Reuters actually had a live just every 25 seconds or something. It was refreshing, just counting the votes up. So I had that on, and then 538 was pretty good coverage too. Because they had like the interactive map where it was like go county by county.
You could see which ones are coming in.
Yeah. Which is how it was during the general election too. But that's I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what there is to say about politics right now, to be honest. It's just wild. A wild fucking day in the history of the United States of America.
I don't think it's going to be just a day.
I don't either. Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what I kind of would hope that this sort of thing would fizzle out. But it feels like the fall of the Roman Empire,
What's really weird, like I've seen a lot of people, what is it, the 25th Amendment that says like the vice president can just like, or the Congress can be like, all right, you're done.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of caveats to that. It actually has to be a significant portion of the cabinet also. And I could not, for the life of me, name who is in the cabinet right now, because it's changed so much.
Yeah.
And even since the election in November, I think there's been changes because, people resigned because they didn't agree with the claims of election fraud, or People
Right,
were
right.
fired because they said publicly they didn't agree with the claims of election fraud. But yeah, the 25th Amendment is the vice president plus I think 8 members of the cabinet have to unanimously agree to for the vice president to assume the role of president. But there's something else in the 25th Amendment that's kind of like you only need a simple House majority, which good,
Right, right.
simple House majority to have the vice president step into the role for 25 days.
Well, and the reason I even brought it up is because oh, excuse me. Because there's, well, first of all, because people were talking about it, but so, like before everything like went down and they like evacuated the chambers, like I was watching the Senate and everyone who stood up to speak called Mike Pence Mr. President. They didn't say Mr. Vice President, they said Mr. President, which was weird. It was like 8 people before they were evacuated spoke. Yeah, they were all saying Mr. President. So I don't know, like
maybe they know something we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they know a lot of things we don't know. But.
Right, but that's why when people started talking about like invoke the 25th Amendment, I was like, wait, well, this was kind of weird that they were doing this. You know, I don't. So I just found that that interesting that they called him Mr. President. Everybody who spoke.
Was that on like C-SPAN? Is that where you were watching it?
I was watching I think it was a Reuters feed, but yeah, it was the feed.
C-SPAN type, where you could just watch Congress. Huh. I'll have to go back and watch that. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching like, kind of repeated on it was on Twitter, but I was watching it like everybody was posting it on Reddit. It was it was being reported that the protesters stormed the dividers and the barricade before the Capitol. But there's a video of there's maybe 4 cops standing against the barricade. And as the protesters approach, they move the 2 barricades out of the way and just let them go.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yep.
It's not surprising.
It's pretty.
I mean,
yeah. I don't know.
If it does implicate something, it's not necessarily surprising, and that's like they're
crisis actors. It was Antifa.
Yeah. Well, and no, that's another thing I've been seeing a lot, and that I agree with. It's like, is this really like? It's not a surprise. It's not surprising at all that this happened. I mean, you see the not even like the rhetoric that Trump throws out there, just like people on social media, like your uncles, your uncles who are really into conspiracy theories, like the shit they say. And you're just like, yeah, these people they're nuts, they're crazy. Well,
I think,
and it's not everybody who voted for Trump either. Like, you don't want to lump everybody together, but it's just like, I think there are some Democrats who are fucking nuts too, but
yeah, for sure. I also wouldn't discount that there probably is a faction of just like pro fuck shit up people that have probably participated in the protests over the summer. And
exactly, it might not be anybody from either side. It might just be
there might be a couple.
Like,
I mean, I think that the vast majority were Trump acolyte conservatives or whatever you would call them at this point that stormed the Capitol. But I mean, even in the watching things unfold in Portland, it really messed with me as a person who has been very politically active, knows, I've just been like a demonstration level activist for many years. Kind of watched the way that that particularly like the burning of the the courthouse and things in Portland. I'm kind of seeing I watching either like YouTube news or Vice News or whatever, where they interviewed some of these kids, and they don't have a grasp even on the rhetoric. They don't have talking points. They're just there to, like fuck the establishment, which is really unfortunate because those protests didn't start as anti-establishment protests. They started as anti-police brutality against Black people protests. And it just really fucked up the message, I think.
Yeah. And you were imprisoned for your activism one time, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
Or
yeah.
at least like held.
I went to prison, but it was only for 6 days. I was facing a 6-month sentence, but I actually ended up never having to go back to jail. Because some of my sentence, like some of the charges were reduced, and then some of them, like I just got probation for. So yeah, but I had a felony trespass. I guess I still do have a felony trespass charge.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What was that?
I've been arrested several times for activism, but that was the only time where I actually did any. It was a very scary time in jail.
Yeah. same for me with my DUIs.
Yeah.
I had my 2 weekends.
It's very unpleasant.
Yeah. I mean, mine was really not that, like, as far as like jail stories go, it was very unpleasant is how I would describe it. Very unpleasant 2 weekends. And then they just made me, the state of Pennsylvania was like, look, you're not allowed to leave your house. Sorry. You've demonstrated you're not responsible enough to leave your domicile. So we're going to put this bracelet on you.
Sometimes I think those penalties are really, really harsh for DUI. And then I'm like, wait, no, you really could kill somebody. So it's a good deterrent, at least, to not do it again. Yes,
absolutely. Well, the punishment at this point is the bigger deterrent because I get, like, for your third one you go to like state prison for a year,
and you never get your license back, right?
No, you can always get your license back. It just might take a very long time. Actually, no, there are people who do like just lose their driving privileges for life, but you have to do like a lot or something like really bad, like kill someone, which is always a possibility. Don't drink and drive, kids. No. So back to Christmas. Would you? Because I also
tell me about your Christmas.
Yeah, well, I also got a fire pit because I asked my parents for one because I want to do something in the backyard to spruce it up a little bit. There's a big spring project coming up, but yeah.
Okay.
And actually, one of the places I applied at is a outdoor furniture manufacturer, which would be kind of cool if it's cool. Like, do I get a discount? But I haven't heard back from that one. But yeah, I also got a fire pit. Not quite, nice. not a solo thing, solo stove.
Well, maybe you don't have as much anxiety about setting neighborhoods on fire as I do.
No, and mine's like I have a pretty small backyard, so it's not. Yeah. It's a pretty small little fire pit. But yeah, it was a good Christmas. I kind of cleaned up this year. Maybe one of the best Christmases.
You mean as far as gifts go?
Yes. Yeah.
Were you able to see family, or did you have to stay?
No, I went to my parents' house because they're both retired and they don't really leave either, and I don't leave my house. It was pretty low risk situation. My brother and my sister-in-law, they came, and unfortunately it was raining all day Christmas Eve day, so they stopped up and we sat outside. Like, they pulled into the garage and lifted and put up their tailgate or whatever, their tailgate, and like they sat in the back of their car and we stood in the garage and exchanged gifts and hung out for a little bit. And then and then I went, one of my best friends from high school actually moved in they bought the house like 6 houses down from my parents' house. So
nice.
Went over there and hung out with him and his wife and her daughter, or his girlfriend, his fiance now, they got engaged. Everyone's doing so well in life, and I'm just like, I have a podcast. they
not everybody that's like having kids and getting married is doing great either.
no, and in fact I know they're kind of struggling. They both had COVID too, so because
Oh.
she works in a hospital, so it was bound to happen. But yeah, they went to fucking Mexico like at the height of the pandemic. Those dumbasses.
That's stupid.
Yeah, they had like planned the trip forever, and it was just like, no, we need to fucking get out of
Every
this
place was
country right now.
reimbursing. I had a huge summer trip planned
Oh,
that,
really?
yeah, that we got reimbursed for everything except one hotel room. So
Yeah, I told him he was an idiot. There's not much more I could do. But yeah, so it was nice. It was nice to see everybody. I got one of my favorite gifts that I've ever gotten.
what'd you get?
My new sponsor, by the way, the Luxe Bidet, the Neo 320. It's dude, do you have one of these, or have you ever used it?
I don't.
Oh,
I
man.
have friends that extol the wonderful value of bidets, but
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
have one.
Well, it's funny because when I mentioned it at the I shouted it at you while you were on stage at the Lizard
Yeah.
Lounge.
I said,
Or
hey, we did get a cool Christmas gift, and you were like, I got a bidet.
yeah, at Phantom Power, not the Lizard Lounge. I went back to get a drink, and T, the lovely bartender at our open mics, goes, "So what model did you get?" Like it's like, wait, you got a bidet too? Like, yeah, it's a very exclusive club. But yeah, these guys are. This is a warm water model. I got to learn how
I
to
was
work
just
the.
about to ask you, because what has kept me from being in the clean asshole club is the my water in particular, because I well water. It comes out of all of the taps
Mhm.
extraordinarily cold.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
like when I'm watering my garden and the water from the hose like gets on my shoes, my
Mhm.
feet get like ice cold in the summer. That's how cold the water is. So I did not want that to shoot into my asshole.
Yeah. The cold. I have a couple friends who have the cold water models, and it is a little shocking, but you can adjust the nozzles and the spray strength and everything like that. And they do have it has uh a setting that for like female wash, so it's like the angle is different and everything. It's a very amazing feat of human engineering, to be honest. The
Well, there's
easily
aren't there a lot of like, it's pretty gross to other countries that we don't universally
Mhm. Yeah,
have have bidets,
yeah.
right?
I think like any country that has like plumbing, and most like European countries, bidets are like standard.
Yeah.
So, and it is like
My ex was from Spain, and we went to visit her family for Christmas one year, and every family member that we went to, they had what looked like two toilets in their bathroom, but one was a bidet.
one was a water fountain. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, listener, viewer, if you look in the description of this video, there will be a link that you can click to check out this model specifically. They're like $60, and it's super easy to install, and they have a good sense of humor because on the box, they have like reviews printed, and I don't know if I can get. Oh yes, I can. I just have to learn how to do it properly. See that one, the biggest one that you can see? Fantastic.
No,
Like,
got it.
yeah.
Actually, my little head on the screen is in front of that, but yes, fantastic.
Oh, okay. But you're a comedian. You get it.
I get it.
You got the wordplay, the genius wordplay there by Brad. Just Brad. But yeah, click that link, check that out. If you purchase one, I get a little commission on it. So I don't have a job. Did I
You don't have
mention
like
that?
a use code human
No, that's
interaction?
I was hoping that's what it would be, but it's I at this point right now, I don't think they trust me to drive their product enough. So they're like, we're not giving people discounts on
Okay.
on your name. Maybe, sell a couple units and we'll see. I don't know. I don't have direct. I think it's all bots. I think I just signed up my email and they were like, "Here you go. Yeah, go ahead." Um, but it is a great thing to have in your bathroom. And that model has like, they have different styles of knobs and stuff. That one has like a lever to decide whether you want hot or cold or the pressure. Like it's all, you feel like you're operating a spaceship. Get it? A spaceship.
I saw what you did there.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. Highly recommended. Um, yeah, got that out of the way.
Yeah,
Luxe Bidet.
I'll discuss that with my wife and see.
Yeah,
I want to be in the Clean Took Us Club, and
it is like, especially. I kind of wish I had one earlier because of the whole panic buying of like toilet paper and stuff. Like,
right.
the only time you need to wipe is to dry your butt when you're done. Like, I was jumping in the shower directly after shitting before I could get toilet paper at one point. So, yeah, this would have solved that. Yeah,
I'm so happy for you.
Yes,
overjoyed.
I mean, a lot of my friends had them, and they were just like, they kept like talking about how awesome they are, and
Yeah.
I was like,
everybody that has a bidet, they're in
right.
it.
Oh, I'm just another one of those bidet guys.
Well, now you're a bidet person. Yeah. It's like people who have an Apple Watch.
Yeah, yeah. Or like beer snobs. Like people who only drink craft beer, which is me, but I also will totally shotgun a Pabst right now.
I think the craft beer people are lying. I don't think they taste good. People who are like, I like a hoppy beer. That's the worst thing I can imagine.
I like a hoppy beer.
So does Emily. And she's like, try this, you'll like it. I'm like, I don't like anything that's really hoppy. And she's like, it's hoppy, but it has like, blah, 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 try this. And
if all you get, because people's palates are different too, but like if all you get is the bitterness of hop, I'm not necessarily into that, but I do like a hoppy beer. And it depends on what kind of hops you're using. And I'm more of a hazy juicy kind of guy, which will be, that's like your New England IPAs.
Okay.
They'll be like hazier, lighter in color, more like a fruity floral notes instead of like just straight up hoppiness. Yeah, that's my jam.
I have quit drinking entirely, but I'm not. I was never like a snob. Like I had no opinions on it, except that I knew that a lot of the higher ABV beers tasted awful to me.
I mean, yeah, that's how a lot of people feel about beer. You say you quit drinking?
I did, yeah. I quit drinking August of 2019.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did I never even notice that? You're just so fun anyway.
I don't make a like it. I wasn't exactly I was drinking too often because of comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I went to
jail. I was not. That's a good point. But back when comedy was a real thing, I actually used to do it quite a lot. Like,
yes.
And it would make me concerned that I would have 2 or 3 drinks and then drive home. That's a concern. But it really, like, I have a family history of alcoholism, and I just kind of realized that it had become such a part of my routine. And I read an article that said something like women who have more than 4 drinks per week are 15% more likely to have breast cancer. And I in 2012 had ovarian cancer. Never knew that statistic. It wasn't very, like, it wasn't terribly serious because it was like encapsulated. Sometimes thyroid cancer happens like that too. Okay. It's like a tumor that's not going to metastasize.
So like it's there, but it's not going anywhere, basically.
Right. So yeah. So a lot of times women will have that. I don't know if that happens to men too, but they'll have an encapsulated tumor in their thyroid or their ovary, and they just remove the thyroid, or in my case, remove the ovary. Anyway, Doesn't matter. It was a scary article. And I was like, I'm having like sometimes 4 drinks a night.
Yeah.
5 nights a week. I was like, that's too many drinks, even though it's spaced out for hours, even though I'm not a blackout drunk, even though I'm not driving under the influence.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's problematic. So, and I
Yeah.
don't do so good with moderation. I'm better at
Well,
abstinence.
that's my that's also my issue is moderation. And it's the other issue is I realized how much weight I was gaining just from drinking. You know, I would go to Philly, first of all, not sleeping at all, but then I would drive down to Philly and it's like, I'll do a couple citywide specials. So like a PBR pounder and a shot of whiskey, you know, like 3 or 4 of those, and then go on stage at like 1 a.m. It was hurting my performance. It was a dumb decision because I was definitely driving drunk, and I was gaining a lot of weight from that lifestyle very quickly too. But I don't know. I haven't really changed it. I still, and back to the point about moderate, like I don't know what the proper term is for it, but someone who just like once I have a drink, it's just like, and once I get a little buzz going, it's just like, I just got to keep it going like all night. I don't need to get blackout drunk, but I definitely like, I just will just keep drinking beer, you know, or whatever. Like I'll just keep drinking. I
noticed that behavior in myself too. Like if I started out a night, you know, close to home where I knew I wasn't going to be driving, if you know, 1 drink could very easily turn into 5. And
right.
I also am so judgmental about my family's alcoholism that I felt like I couldn't continue to be as judgmental as I wanted to be if I was also drinking so much. So
they're like, nah, shut up, you hypocrite. And you're like, no. I can judge you now.
That's not really it, but
I know.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I just quit drinking. But I did notice that like I don't miss it at all because I still like doing those social things, you know, even because how many months is that? Like, you know, from August to March, I was still allowed to socialize and still doing a lot of comedy. Didn't miss it at all. Every once in a while I would replace alcohol with like, I would get like a seltzer with like a lime in it, and just seltzer water tastes bad. And
so you could pretend.
well, yeah, kind of like you nurse it. You don't drink it real fast. Seltzer water has a yucky taste, and like alcohol does to me. So it's just been an effective replacement. It hasn't really changed anything about the way I live.
Yeah. That's good. I don't know. I notice like I want to have like 2. I used to say like 2 drinks was like my sweet spot to get on stage, like 2 beers, and then like finish the 3rd one on stage, and then that was it. Like that was my goal to like. I feel like that's a good plan that still allows me to like relax a little bit, have a drink because I do like beer and stuff, you know. But I can't stick to that. I don't know why. It's I'm sure I could if I really tried, but then it's like you're hanging out with friends and
and sometimes the
it's just like a
really
social
late.
thing. Yeah. But I noticed when I was on probation and I had the thing in my car and everything, like that's when I noticed it was I was treading a really thin line because like I would go to the Lizard Lounge and it was like I can't get a beer because like I got to be able to start my car, and then I'd start to get like anxious because like I'm in a bar and I don't want to order a beer, you know, and that's when it really became like I was like, ooh, I gotta reassess this situation a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So then I just figured
it's a good litmus test. Like, is this like something that you need in your, I don't know.
Right. But there's no other time.
Some people do need that. Like some people do like to come home and have a drink.
Well, it's, you know, I like to come home and rip my pen or pack a bowl, you know, it's and or have a beer. Like I like to be slightly intoxicated. That's how I like to live my life. Um, because otherwise I don't know. I don't know what if people used to tell me they couldn't tell the difference between like when I was fucked up and when I wasn't, but I can definitely tell the difference. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
I
need
think
do you feel like you need something to take the edge off to perform, to do?
at the beginning, yes. I think now it's more of a it makes me just feel looser and a little more comfortable. So yeah, I guess it is a it kind of lowers my inhibitions on when I'm on stage, lets me feel comfortable like riffing, stuff like that. But one thing I don't like getting super stoned before I go on stage now.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And I used to, like, when I was driving back and forth from Philly all the time, like we would be so stoned going on stage. And I don't know. Well, it's hard to focus. It's hard to like
Yeah, I can
remember what you're
imagine.
doing. And I don't I'm not a in my old age, I'm not a let's go out, let's like get stoned and go out in public and like hey, like I that gives me social anxiety. Whereas like when I'm sitting at home, I get anxiety because I'm like antsy and everything, and that's where that helps. When I want to like be in public, I don't want to be stoned, you know,
Yeah, you
because
want
it
to have
just makes
a little
yeah.
bit more control.
Well, it's not even that. I just get really quiet most of the time when I'm stoned, and
Yeah.
I get really like introspective, and then I don't realize it. So like I'll just be standing there like listening to other people have a conversation, and I'll be like adding things in my head, and then I'll realize like, oh, I didn't say any of that out loud. That was just all in here. I'm just like standing here nodding,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I always
um,
forget about the high all the time people. Um and I'll encounter them. I have several friends who I know that they're just high all the time. Like
hmm
either yeah, but sometimes we'll be having a conversation and I can tell that they kind of like went somewhere else, and it always gives me this like triggers my social anxiety where I'm like, do they like am I uninteresting? Like they don't want to talk to me, and then it's always like a couple hours later where I'm like, no, they're the high all the time people. Like they
right.
just went somewhere else for a minute. Just
hmm
have to remember that. Remind
Which
myself when I'm like, this person seems really glazed over while we're having a conversation. It was them that was talking. They seemed bored with me while they were talking.
That's I mean that happened earlier in our conversation on this episode. I just completely I went off on a tangent and I was like, wait, where was I going with that? Anyway, buy this bidet. That was something I was really happy about. Monday night was like I wrote a new joke that like I liked for the first time in a long
What was the
time.
new thing?
I don't think women want a king. I don't think
Oh
they
yeah,
think
that was
about what a
funny.
king has been
Yeah,
historically. Yeah. And
yeah,
I've written some like new little tags for that in the meantime. So like I'm writing again, which is cool because that
yeah.
yeah I hadn't been doing that at all. It was pretty bleak for a good 8 months there.
Well, I think that's probably true for everyone. We were all
Right.
just. I mean, I I do know
That's
that
why
there
I
were
try not to
creative
make.
people who are writing prolifically. I'm sure that they're out there, but there was just I felt like there was no experience to
Well,
kind
right.
of draw into writing jokes. There was no
the
um
only the only thing we had was politics. Like that was literally the
yeah.
only thing that you could uh that you could really reference that would catch on that that was current. Otherwise it's just like, yeah, my cat did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was still working, but I work in healthcare. I can't talk about my job. But that
Right.
was literally all I was doing. All I was doing was it
Just
was
work.
like work and then come home and be by myself. So it was an uninteresting time.
Yeah.
Not a lot of creative juices flowing. I
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
tried. Did you like try to do weird things like in the very beginning?
Yeah, which I said I should have kept doing this because I bought all this equipment. I should have just kept going with it, but I was like, I didn't want to. I was like I was podcast hipster. I was like, I don't want to do a Zoom cast, and then like literally everybody started doing Zoom podcasts, and then I was like, okay, well maybe I'll do it. And now everyone's like, no, we're done. We're back in the studio. Like fuck. Now I'm still shitty quality. Uh, but yeah, I tried to do this. I had some like ideas for. I had a. I wanted to do like a kind of paranormal activity inspired, kind of like found footage horror series
Okay.
of just weird things happening around my house. And I had like all these little special effects ideas rigged up. Like I ordered a bunch of like invisible thread and stuff to like do things, make things float. And I might still do it, but now I'm kind of telling everybody about it.
Now you told everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not the first time I talked about it.
How
on
many
here.
people are we telling here?
Right, 5 tops. Although, I mean, you have friends who might listen to it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, I don't know how much of the content that I interact with, like your podcast, or I don't know how much of that my friends are actually watching.
Yeah.
I do have friends that like will come and watch me do comedy, or
Mhm.
will watch the stuff I put up on YouTube and take right down because then a client finds it and I take it right down.
You got to get yourself a stage name.
No, I really fucked up. I fucked up by just using my real name from the get.
Yeah.
I could have just spelled it different. I don't know.
Yeah, you really could have. Or March, Audrie March. You know, it's with a C. Not yeah.
Would not have been hard. Not have been hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a few little ideas that I thought of. Like most of it was being really upset that like the ideas that I had weren't going to be possible now. You know, like it was I wanted to turn the guest bedroom, I wanted to kind of remodel that into like a little studio / work space that's and still like guest bedroom, but which I could still conceivably do that. But yeah, well, you know, not having income was real tough. And then it was like, well, I'm actually making decent money, but I don't want to spend all that now without knowing what's coming up in the future. Like that's kind of the point of them giving me more money now, is so I stay home and like just kind of chill for a little bit. Yeah. So there's those projects will still probably be completed just a little later than I wanted them to be. Yeah. What about you? Did you have any quirky little things?
Was like trying to learn French. I started. I was, or I do. I actually have not been back. I'm just leery of the gym, but I used to go several days a week and go swimming at the gym. And when COVID hit, the gym closed. So I tried to be a runner. I'm not a runner.
I totally agree with you there.
I hated it so much. The longest run I went for was 4 miles. I felt like I should have gotten like a Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
Like at the end of that 4 mile run, I felt like there should have been whatever sports announcer does track standing at my car. Yeah, so I tried that. I don't know
that there are any track and field specialists in the sportscasting
in the sports
universe,
announcing.
But who knows? I don't
know. There's the Olympics, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess I would just be like Bob Costa or something. I don't even know if he still does it, but that's who in our childhoods.
You're the sports guy. I don't know. I do love the Olympics. I love the Olympics.
They are apparently still on, just pushed back a little bit. So
yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
So you actually maybe told me that.
We were talking about it outside at
it's the Summer Olympics, right? We're in Summer Olympics.
Oh yeah, it was, but yeah,
it was supposed to be summer. Yeah.
It was supposed to be summer 2020. That's right. Why was I was thinking winter though, but those are on the teams.
Right, but we would have had it already.
Yes.
Because Winter Olympics usually happen in like January, February.
And that was 2018 was the Winter Olympics.
Yeah. So it would have been Summer Olympics, but it didn't happen this year. But Summer
Really
Olympics
did that.
are my favorite, although I get pretty invested in both. But anyway,
I
I ran 4
became.
miles one
I'm sorry.
time. I want all 5 of your listeners to know I am 38 years old, ran 4 miles.
Nice.
4.
Congratulations. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. I couldn't run a mile right now.
Yeah.
But,
I was doing like the run walk interval thing. I downloaded this app called Zombie Run, and it's like being in a movie, and they tell you like when the zombies are coming. It's
oh,
kind of
really?
funny.
That
Yeah,
actually
kind of
sounds.
funny.
It gives a little more excitement to it. You know,
Yeah, and you
like
link it with your music, so the music is playing while
okay,
while there's like a kind of a voiceover telling you like to pick up your pace because there's zombies, or
yeah,
there's different awards you can get if you go like a certain pace for a certain length of time.
that does
It's
sound
like
pretty
playing
cool.
a video game with yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds like the exact kind of thing that I would need to motivate me to
It was out
run.
like,
Like,
I mean, it's a fun app. Didn't really help me continue on my journey to become a
yeah, because
runner
it's
and
real
everything.
easy to just not start that
Yeah,
app. Yeah,
yeah. It's so
I
much.
I have I because I also hate running, but I wanted to exercise. I got I ordered like a stationary bike. That's what they're called
Yeah.
on Amazon. So it's like designed for like small spaces, so it like folds up and can wheel into a closet and stuff. But it's
So you can put it in the closet and never even think about it
yeah.
again.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any closets in the basement. It's just down there with the rubber like puzzle piece workout mat that I set up, and I used it twice, I think, in the past 2 years. So, yeah, I got to start. That is one of my like New Year's resolutions, and I'm already 5 days removed from starting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely should and probably need to exercise more. I not to bring everybody down, but one of my best friends just passed away, and we all weren't like the healthiest, but he was only like 35 years old, and no one really knows what happened. It was kind of like a mystery. So they couldn't really determine anything apparently from
No drug use or anything?
the coroner said they didn't find any significant amount of alcohol in his system and no drugs. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
yes, it's thank you. I appreciate that. It's
Yeah.
I we found out the night that we had that big snowstorm that came through. So I literally just sat there all night, like talking with friends, crying,
Yeah.
I watched like the sunrise and had like a moment. Yeah, it really wrecked us like as a friend group. Because he was one of the godfathers, like we
You're
were
right.
trying to, yeah, it was a rough time, and it's still it's one of those things where like I cried for like 2 days straight, and then it was just like that this is helping me right now, but it's not changing anything about the situation. So like we gotta find a way to accept what happened.
Right.
It's crazy. Never dealt with that kind of grief before, like losing someone that close. It's
So suddenly too.
yeah, like I've lost grandparents, and that's really it. And
Yeah.
kind of people who I was like acquainted with and stuff, but never someone who like I've known for most of the greatest memories of my adult life involve that guy. So it was real rough. Again, not to bring everybody down, but yeah.
But it's
So that has inspired me to exercise because
to get healthy. Yeah.
yeah, because we lived the same kind of lifestyle, and I don't know if that's what ended up happening to him, because like I said, we don't really know the
Right.
details of it. So, but it's definitely inspired me to at least ride on the bike for a mile or two every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have a non-stationary bike, right? You have a bike that goes places. No.
No, a bike that goes places. No, I had one. That is actually what a point I wanted to bring up too, because like when I got my first DUI, I lost my license. I was living in Millersville, and I would ride from Millersville all the way over to like the east end of town, like
Mhm.
near Hack, and so that's like 6.5 miles
Yeah,
each
that's a
way.
good distance. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could do it in like 45 minutes, like no problem. Granted, I was like
Hmm.
24 years old, but recently when I was 30 years old, I borrowed a bike from one of my coworkers he like fixes them up and everything when I lost my license again, and I rode the less than 2 miles back to my house now from work, or where I used to work, and I was gassed. Like I was out of breath. I was huffing and puffing. Like, yeah, it was not good. That was kind of an eye. It's been 2 years since that, and I still haven't really done anything. So I should really get on that, and maybe look into getting one of them bikes that goes places.
One of the bikes that goes places.
Yeah,
It's just I can't do exercise that's monotonous like that, like treadmill, stationary bike, things like that.
yeah. Well, what I do is I have an iPad also, and I was putting on like an episode of The Office, or like 2 episodes of The Office or whatever, just
Yeah.
while I'm doing the thing I was gonna be doing anyway. Like, instead of just sitting on my ass, I'll move my legs too. Like,
I see
um,
people at the gym with like they're on like the stair climber or sometimes on the bike with like a paperback novel. It's like who could concentrate on that? Like I'm trying really hard
yeah,
not to die.
yeah. I never understood how people, like, I'll get out of breath just walking with people and trying to have a conversation. Like, it's that bad. But I was talking to my friend about it today. He dropped me off after our disc golf round, and he's not really familiar with Lancaster. He lives in Hummelstown, and he's like, "Wow, this is pretty cool, man! Like, a cool little city." Because we drove like through the city, and he
Where did you go play disc golf?
Shiprock, if you know where that is, down south on 222.
Oh yeah, okay.
Well, you might be thinking of Bookmiller Park.
No,
Shiprock
Bookmiller Park is on isn't that
72, yes.
272?
I
Yeah.
think so.
And it's across
It's
the
where
street
they
from like Golf Road where you would go to County Park. I know they have a disc golf course there.
yeah. Shiprock's a little further south.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really beautiful, like, fun course. It's like I said, it's long, so it's like the one day I went, I was by myself. I was losing a lot of discs. I was making a lot of errant throws, so there's a lot of I walked like 4 miles doing that course. Today was like 2.5. So, but yeah, he was asking, like, do you have a bike? You can just like ride wherever? I was like, I'm only a mile from downtown, so
Mm-hmm.
literally to the Chameleon Club, it was a mile. So it's
That's
not
one of the things that's maybe not the worst about Lancaster is that the whole city is walkable for
exactly. So I'll take the 20-minute walk,
yeah,
especially on like a nice summer night. It was nice
yeah.
getting to the Chameleon just drenched in sweat because I walked a mile in the Pennsylvania summer. That's how
When
you know
it's
it's
when it's light
Pennsylvania.
outside, I'll ride my bike from my house, and I don't live in the city, but I'll ride my bike to. Well, I used to ride my bike to the Chameleon. Rest in peace, Chameleon.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Are they? Well, yeah. Let's talk about what do you think the future is for like Phantom Power and comedy in the area?
Well,
And
I know
aren't
that
they like isn't the Chameleon moving to? Didn't they say they're just kind of moving
the
locations?
Chameleon, I guess, as a brand, still exists. They don't have a building. I
Okay.
don't. I I'm wondering if maybe that was kind of said to not disappoint the community that much, or I'm not entirely sure if there really is a solid plan
Okay.
to relocate. Um, Phantom Power seems to be kind of following a little bit the Chameleon model with maybe some more of a as far as music goes, but I don't know because they opened in March. They opened the first week of March. So it's hard to say what
was it March? I thought they were open
they have
in like
they had
October.
one event. They had one event before the shutdown.
Jeez.
So I'm sure that their vision for what they want has been completely upended.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what their plan is. I do know that Greg, who owns Phantom Power, he used to be the booking agent for the Chameleon for years. He worked at the Chameleon, bartended, and was there.
Yeah, I remember. He was still working there when I started doing comedy. He used to be at open mics a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when he was well, I shouldn't say a lot. When he was
he bartending?
That was T was like the regular bartender at that point, but there were some nights where Greg would be there.
Or Greg or maybe Rob.
Yeah, and there's a girl who worked there for a little while when they did the arcade thing. There's a few. Well, you've worked there for a couple nights as well. You bartended.
Yeah, I bartended there.
Yeah.
But I know that. So what I was going to say is Greg likes to kind of make connections and then have things kind of come a little easily. I'm not saying that's not like an indictment of Greg. It's
that's just the business strategy.
But over the summer, I think over the summer he got an email from a booking agent that has a number of relatively well-known comics. Maybe they don't have an hour on HBO, but they have a following. And so he started booking them, and I think he realized you can do 2 shows a night.
Yeah.
The drinks sell pretty well. The ticket price is a little higher than it is for a local band. And so there were just a number of big name comics booked throughout the summer and fall, which was really cool. And I think that he wants to keep doing that. It might change a little bit because there wasn't a lot going on. So comics were looking to drive to Amish country to perform a show.
Yeah, that's the only thing about because it is smaller than the Chameleon was. So
right. So I think when there's more work to be had, probably that font might dry up, but
well, hopefully,
I think that Greg's going to try to, forge those connections and network with those agents so that we continue to be offered. It's kind of wild that Todd Barry came and performed an outdoor show in Millersville, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And Norman too. I mean, Norman he's a little less established, I guess, but he's still he's one of the.
I feel like he's kind of among comics. He's a household name for sure.
Yeah. Well, and no comic is really a household name. I realized this when back in the day, before I started comedy, when Louis C.K. was the most well-known comedian in the world. I worked with people and I would mention him and they're like,
right. Even if you said that name to a lay person, they'd be like, oh, yeah. That's how I feel about Chelsea Peretti is one of my favorite comics. And it just is mystifying to me that a lot of people that I'm
and she might be a little more familiar to people now because of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and all that.
But even still. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, she wasn't on SNL. That's really how people know who comedians are at this point, which is unfortunate. But
but I feel like the comics that we had over the summer come through Phantom Power, all of them were well known to the comedy community,
right?
And
yeah.
also have kind of a cult following because you saw that. I mean, especially I would say especially the Todd Barry show and the Mark Norman show. Oh, there was another one.
Joe List.
No, not Joe. Joe List actually. Hopefully Joe List doesn't listen to your podcast. I had to look him up.
Oh, really? That was the second time he performed here.
I had seen him before. I did recognize some of his jokes, but when somebody said, "Oh, Joe List is coming," I was like,
"Who?" Yeah.
Who?
Who Gethard? Was it Chris Gethard?
Chris
Because
Gethard and Sam
Morrill. Sam
Morrell.
Morrill.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're yeah, and again, they're all of those names. If you're a comic, you know who those guys are.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's yeah.
I was like overjoyed to host for Chris Gethard. And he certainly delivered on being like a super sweet, nice guy.
Yeah, I would what I don't know. Oh, that was the last night that we could all of the boys could hang out before my friend had his baby. And I opted for that, but I would have like I always say this podcast is kind of like a ripoff of Beautiful Anonymous, and Career Suicide is one of my favorite specials
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
Me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
I have his book is sitting right over there. One of my friends got it for me for Christmas a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But
he's definitely like one of my favorite comics from before I even thought about doing stand-up comedy.
yeah, and see,
then,
I only got into him because someone recommended his podcast, I believe. I heard his podcast before I saw him perform ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I listened to the first episode of Beautiful Anonymous and I was like, wow, that could have been me calling him, you know? And yeah, it was then Career Suicide came out. It was just like, holy shit, this is very much like what I wish I could talk about on stage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And not feel insecure or feel like I'm bumming everybody out or whatever, you know.
Right. Well, I think the trick is to first
Have a
put
following.
some really funny material out there
Yeah.
in the world, and then you can be the bummer. And also, I feel like I feel kind of not bad for Chris. I mean, he's doing fine. Chris Gethard is doing fine,
Mhm.
but like, Career Suicide came out way before Nanette, that Hannah Gadsby situation.
Yes.
And Hannah Gadsby was either, you know, praised or panned. I think that it was there was not a middle of the road, unless it was my opinion, which was like, whatever. It was fine. It was fine.
That's pretty much how I was. My whole thing was like the if I had any issue with it, the issue was how it was marketed, because they marketed that as like a stand-up comedy special, and it was really not a stand-up special. As a one-woman show, it was moving and heartbreaking, beautiful, but like it wasn't stand-up comedy.
And some of it was funny, but it was
right. But and I would say that Career Suicide is definitely not a stand-up comedy special either. It's a one-woman show. But I feel
like it was just kind of like, oh, Career Suicide, it's a great special. It's on HBO. I think that the mental health community, people who are interested in mental health, who maybe have their own mental health struggles or whatever, I think that they watched it and they thought like, oh, that was a very solid performance. Mm-hmm. And then it was just kind of like glossed over. And Hannah Gadsby like was just such a huge deal. And
well, it's because of, I would say that probably has to do with the opposing, the people who didn't like it more than anything, because like they can also hit the fact that she's a woman, or you know what, like she is not a white man who's feeling this. She is a marginalized community person, like blah. She's one of the letter people, you know. Not that I support any
the letter people. Oh, like
LGBTQ. Yeah.
I never heard us called the letter people.
Oh, I think that's a Chappelle thing, actually. That people, of course, like co-opted and used to insult people instead of just potentially making people feel insulted. You know, like, you know what I mean? Where it's like you say sometimes in comedy, it's I hate it because like it gets, people call it like edgy and like shock value, but you're supposed, like, you tread that line in comedy, you know, and there's a difference between saying something as a joke and then outright saying, like, using it to literally like directly attack someone, you know, like.
I feel like I can always tell the difference between somebody who's saying something that's kind of like edgy, and pretty, I mean, we know a lot of guys like this.
Yeah,
but,
we've been to open mics. We've been to
well,
quite a
no,
few open
no,
mics. Yeah.
no.
Okay.
I feel like there are comics, real comics, not just open micers who like to say the N word. Where you can tell that they maybe don't have an opinion or have the opposite opinion of what they're saying, which then makes the joke that's like kind of revelatory of like the edgelord stuff seem much funnier. Like you can kind of like you can separate the joke from the guy, and then there's the
you got did the
like
dog,
the guys that
the
just
dog
like
broke
say
in?
the dog broke in, yeah.
Yeah, the cat was bothering me earlier, so
that just say whatever the fuck they want to say, or it's more revelatory of like who they are as a person. Like you can tell that like when a good person makes a shitty joke, or
Right.
a joke that's like shitty, like kind of a punching down joke. I'm
Right.
having a hard time saying this. Like there are people
No,
who
I know
can write something funny that is a little bit of a punch down, but it's very funny, and there's no indication whatsoever that that's an opinion that they hold.
Right.
And then there are people who try to say edgy shit, and it becomes more revelatory of the things that they think are like objectively funny. Like that just saying faggot is objectively funny.
Right.
Which isn't true. But you can, if you are very skilled,
you can definitely write a joke
that's very funny.
Yeah.
Funny gay guys do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and man, I'd kill to be a funny gay guy. If that's all I have to do to be able to say it, no.
Here's the dog.
Oh, hello. They're not going to talk to me.
Come on, catch up.
Well, I mean, I think we're actually hitting like an hour and a half here. I obviously probably not much to plug at this point, right?
No, I do have my own podcast coming out.
That's right. That's the whole reason I wanted to have you on here, was to talk about that.
That's really the only thing I have to plug. I'm working with a broadcasting student and comic, Tyler Weigert, who he and I both have experience treating our own mental illness, and I also am a mental health social worker. So we're doing this thing where we're doing like a field, kind of one of those like field-based podcasts where we do like a lot of, like NPR style taping out while we're doing stuff. But anyway, we're trying out alternative cures or things that are alternative treatments for depression and anxiety.
So
for
like
example,
St. John's wort, stuff like that.
No, we did 2 full weeks of like meditation and yoga every day.
Nice.
Tyler's gonna get hypnotized.
I've always wanted to try that. I'm
gonna try microdosing mushrooms.
Sweet.
So anyway, first episode comes out on Valentine's Day. It's called The Cure with Audrie and Tyler. I mean, you can just look it up as The Cure. But yeah, it'll be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all those.
Awesome. Just audio. You're not doing YouTube, or
we're not doing Instagram. No. We've actually, like, when we've recorded on my porch, so it can be like open air. So when we've recorded together, we sit together.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, don't tell the COVID police.
It's all right. I broke the rules a few times before it got too serious.
Yeah,
for this as
but
well.
We'll have some interviews with other comics that have tried these to, in more earnest, I guess, like, without it being like a gimmick for their podcast.
Right.
So we used to have some interviews with some comics, some just some like interviews with for meditation and yoga. We like somebody that owns a really, really new agey yoga studio. Nice. Not the like yoga for your tight booty type yoga studio, more like a very Eastern religion type plinky plunky music.
Nice
yoga studio. So yeah, we have some fun interviews too.
Cool. Yeah. So well, everybody keep their eyes peeled for The Cure with Audrey and Tyler Weigert. It sounds really interesting. Can't wait to hear it.
It's been really fun to make.
It sounds like it would be like that's the kind of stuff that I well, I wanted this to be like anything that
Yeah.
it is whatever. Every episode I wanted to be different, something, whatever. But that's definitely something that I would be interested in, and definitely something that I think would actually have crossover between the 5 people who listen to this. I think you might get 5 listeners out of it. So,
Awesome. Yeah. It's a different format. It's not just like it's not a conversation between 2 people or a couple people. It's
right.
As I would like, it's more of like the production, editing. Tyler's a broadcasting major.
I was gonna say it's more like a radio show, like a news program.
We're trying that. We're trying to do it that way. So
cool.
Our first episode is all the way cut. It sounds. My wife said this sounds like a real thing. I was like, well, that's awesome. A nice thing to say.
Is it a finite number of episodes? I think you said.
I think we're gonna do a six episode season. So.
Seasons. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then see where it goes after that, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
So 6 episodes, because we could really kind of only come up with like 6 things to do to our brains. It seemed like a lot.
Yeah. There can be definitely somewhat like I've experimented with microdosing and things like that, and actually I'm very into meditation. Not so much yoga, but meditation.
I actually prefer meditation. I'm not yoga doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I'm just not. It hurts me to do yoga right now. If I were to stretch, I might like it, but at this point it's just painful.
Just try stretching. You don't have to do like, they all have crazy names. That's what I learned in my 2 weeks of doing yoga every day.
Downward facing dog. That's the only one I know. Like, and the child.
The one yoga I was doing was like
archer.
Everything had an Indian name, like Vahasa Pana.
Oh, because you went to the super authentic, legit one.
Yeah, the super culturally appropriate.
Yeah. Oh, it's still like a blonde white girl. With like puka shell necklace.
Yeah.
Didn't that phase out in the 90s? Come on. The puka shell necklace. Or was that was like 2000s, I guess.
I think puka shells were like early 2000s, like the hemp necklaces and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, Audrey, thank you so much for hanging out with me. This is a great conversation. I'm gonna. You
too, Andrew.
Get some.
Let's hope that unless the coup goes forth and they come for all the gays. I'll see you Monday.
Yes, I have been. I would fight for your honor. Okay, I'm a man who would fight for your honor, Audrey.
If they're pounding on my door to put a pink triangle on me, I'll be like, well, call my friend Andrew. He can vouch for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been keeping my eye on my phone. I haven't gotten any like crazy news updates. So
yeah, me neither.
Promising, I guess. But
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, listener, thank you for tuning in. Viewer, thank you for tuning in. Remember, click the link in the description for your Luxe Bidet Neo 320 warm water model. Feel like you're operating a spaceship. And come back for the next episode. I'm your host, Andrew Hambone Hamilton. I almost did it. That is my guest, Audrie the Marsh DeVitra. You have 3 names too, I guess. Come back next time. This has been Human Interaction. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.